Accidental K-hole at a party. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome to today's report. Today's report was sent in by a classic subscriber, Will Smith. When this happened, in April 2019, the drugs used, alcohol and ketamine, the dose, 5 to 6 beers, and an unknown amount of K summed up through bumps, gender, male, weight, 160-ish, age, 19, height, 5'9", prior experience, several light-medium experiences the weeks leading up to the event, and where? At a party at his fraternity house in his room. So this is a pretty quick, straightforward K experience. The alcohol probably did influence his K trip somewhat, though I would guess that by the dose he took, that mainly led to him having the effects that he did end up experiencing. It's a pretty straightforward K trip, and it does capture some of the classical effects that you would find in a K-hole. So I think you guys will like it, and without further ado, let's dive right into it. For the past 2-ish years, I've been a daily dope smoker. I pretty much rely on weed to enjoy myself when I'm not doing anything productive, which is most of the time. However, in the spring of my second year in college, I had a job interview lined up, which unfortunately came with any pothead's worst nightmare, a drug test. Now, I'm not someone very experienced with drug tests, and I wasn't keen on putting my faith in detox kits or other cheats, so I just went about it the hard way and quit cold turkey about 2 months ahead just to be on the safe side. I knew 2 months was overkill, but I really needed the job, so it was worth it. Quitting weed wasn't that bad. The only two withdrawal symptoms that really bothered me were insomnia and absolute boredom. I tried to settle these things with nightly drinking, not enough to get drunk, but just enough to help me relax. This still didn't do the trick, so I reached out to my dealer for any fun weed replacements, and he just said he got a fresh shipment of ketamine. I had never done ket before, and I'm always interested in trying new substances, so I happily bought around a gram. I dabbed with it for about a week, and man, it definitely helped fill the void that quitting weed left. Now, here's where things get interesting. One Friday night, my fraternity had a pretty large party, and about 6 beers in, I decided I might spice it up a little. I went back to my room and pulled out the K. I didn't pay attention to how much I did, but when I looked at the bag, I realized it wouldn't be in my best interest to go back downstairs, so I decided I'd just chill in my room and write it out. For about 10 or so minutes, everything was pretty normal. But when my drunk friend, I'll call him B, came in to smoke, I panicked because I knew it was only about to get way more intense. I went ahead and told him I was on ket, just in case he thought I was acting weird. He asked me what it was like, but as I was telling him, I began to forget how words work. Language became foreign to me, and I didn't know how to communicate, so I attempted to say, "I'll tell you later, I'm too high," but I doubt that's how it came out. Looking back at it, I think I didn't even say anything. I'm pretty sure I thought what I wanted to say and convinced myself that he could hear what I was thinking, even though my thoughts were pure gibberish. Trippy, right? At this point, I was trying to think of things to do to make the situation less awkward, but I started forgetting who B even was. I was thinking, is B even in my room right now? No, he can't be, because of course, he's studying abroad in France, so who's in my room? I tried to look over and see the person sitting in my room, but I couldn't tell the difference between him and the wall behind him. It was like everything was the same object. Then my mind started separating from my body, and I became an ambiguous singularity floating around in the room. Weird enough, the same thing happened with him. I could sense his consciousness becoming a singularity with no sense of ego. We were two singularities just existing. All of a sudden, I was shot back into my body. B was there, and everything looked normal. But I could tell something wasn't right, which I will explain in a bit. We started conversing, and I was pretty sure I was sober again and back in reality. But after what I would guess to be a couple minutes, I became the singularity again, then back to normal. I was cycling between singularity and normality. I don't know how many times this happened, but when I finally came back to reality, I knew I was out of the loop, as I was still high, but I just somehow knew that it was over with. I started talking with B again, and this brings me back to what I mentioned earlier. I asked him what we were talking about before, and he said I didn't say anything at all until just then. This blew my mind, but looking back, I think maybe I had entered a dreamscape of the same setting that I was in, and everything that we had talked about was just a K-hole dream. I then asked him how long I was gone, and he said just about 20 to 30 minutes, though it felt like days. Since I was coming down and I was able to talk again, we just chilled and showed each other music videos and enjoyed the rest of the night, even though I felt clusterfucked the whole time. In the end, I'm glad I did it, as scary and insane as it was, but I don't think I will be doing that again in that setting anytime soon. By the way, I ended up passing the drug test and getting the job. Who fucking Ray?